Welcome back to the Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety, Season 2. This season, we are expanding the conversation, hearing from mental health experts, professionals from different industries, and people in the sports world about how they take care of their minds, handle challenges, and build the mindset to thrive both on the job and in life. So, grab a coffee, get comfy, tune in, get inspired, and let's dive into some fascinating conversations. Remember, your mind is super powerful, and with the right tools and knowledge, you can master your mental playbook. And while you're doing that, take care of you. Hey everyone, Christine here. Welcome back to the Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety. We are starting the new year off with a roundtable with some of my staff, some of the girls. Just to introduce them, we're just going to debate some questions, have our thoughts, answer some questions, and just different perspectives from different therapy approaches, different demographics that we work with. And Kyla here, my client care coordinator, a different perspective since she doesn't come from a mental health background, but she now works in mental health for the last 6 years. So I wanted Kyla to be here too, so we can have her perspective as well. So sitting next to me is Erin. Erin is an occupational therapist, and she specializes working with youth in psychotherapy. In Ontario, occupational therapists can perform the active psychotherapy, the Regulated Health Act. So Erin performs psychotherapy and occupational therapy with youth, and also specializes in couples therapy. And Kyla, as I said, is our client care coordinator. Kyla manages our office. She keeps us all, me especially, in check. Reminds me of all the things I forget to do. She is the first point of contact on the phone, in the office, via email. She books all the appointments. She keeps everything organized. She does all the billing. She runs the place. And I have Mandy. Mandy is our online therapist. Mandy is a registered psychotherapist and was a student with me, and I hired her afterwards because she's fabulous. And then we have Jade, who is actually on mat leave and came in to join us today. So I have the best staff. Jade is a registered psychotherapist and specializes in youth. And she's also an EMDR trauma specialist as well. And now that she's on mat leave, it's all on me. So thanks, Jade.
Yeah, no problem.
And I have Rachel, who just graduated with us. She was a student and did her practicum with us, and now she's working with us as well. So Rachel is a student from Yorkville University doing her master's, and we pushed her outside her comfort zone a little bit, and she now enjoys working with youth. So she has a lot of youth to work with as well. All right. So and everybody knows me. I'm always on here. All right. So today's just going to be a little bit different. The girls don't know what we're talking about, but I'm just going to throw out a few things and we'll discuss them and just get everybody's perspective. One thing that there's a lot of talk about in social media, everywhere, just different things that are shaping mental health today. There's social media. There's people comparing themselves, right? There's a lot of work stress. A lot of people are lonely, and also the world, the way it is. So, I think social media really shapes mental health today. Mm-hmm. And because, all the other things other than work stress are all part of the social media, but I was in my 20s before internet was even a thing. So for me, a lot of people, like my grandchildren, are like swiping and doing all this stuff. And, at 3 and 5, I never did that. So what are your perspectives on it? What do you think is shaping mental health today?
Just to jump in, I just recent events that the videos of things go viral. Mm-hmm. And I would have to say that I think that those, just the impact that those would have on anybody, that they're not censored and anybody can watch them. I think being exposed to things that we wouldn't normally see happening, like gun violence, for example, it just, you have to think about the impact that those things have too. And like just
Yeah.
the exposure level of things.
Yeah, for adults. And you work with kids.
Yeah.
What do you see? Like, have you seen a lot of?
Yeah, I would say like a lot of. I think the biggest thing that I hear from kids is they're like absolutely terrified of things, whether it's real or not. Actually, more often than not, it's not real. And YouTube is a big one where they watch something and then they're just so convinced because they watched this video that it's just real, and it's hard sometimes to convince them otherwise.
Absolutely.
Or to like challenge that because they're like, well, it's on the internet, and
Yeah.
or those like videos that are like, watch this or something bad will happen, or like and subscribe, or like,
oh yes,
this will happen. And there's kids that are really like,
absolutely. I mean, I see those sometimes, and I'm like, should I swipe? Should I not? Yeah. Anybody else's perspective or?
I also think too, just like how accessible it is and outside of your control at the same time. Like, I'm thinking of a client that got added to a Snapchat group. So, you know, whether it was their settings or what have you, but added to a group they didn't choose to be a part of, and then were then exposed to something pretty significant and scary, which had a huge impact on their mental health. So, like, you know, social media is so accessible, but then there's also that layer that's outside of their control. So if they don't have that education or, you know, the certain settings, I think then it's a whole other challenge too.
For sure.
Yeah. I've also kind of going off what Erin said, seen like the more the kids engage, and I'm using just youth as an example, but the more you engage with the scary stuff or the things that aren't true, the more it's going to pop up with your algorithm. So I think that's a huge one, is that the more we feed into it, the more stress and anxiety it causes, because the more we keep seeing it, it keeps popping up.
For sure. Video games.
yeah.
Right? Like when I took the violent threat risk assessment courses, video games, we were talking about like what kids but fill their buckets with. And if you already have a predisposition to mental illness or mental health issues and you're filling your bucket with violent video games, that can really start to influence your mental health as well.
They're just kind of on a personal note. My husband and I have started playing Pokemon Go. But I like reflecting on it, like I was really resistant to it in the beginning because I was like, oh, mindfulness, wanting to be in nature. And he kind of sucked me in. And I'm like, I am seeing the negative effect of that because you're glued to your phone. It's supposed to be something that's like to get you out and like walking and exercise in nature, but you're glued to your phone. So I'm like, this is very controversial, or like it contrasts what it's trying to do, because now you're still sucked in, you're still on your phone. Like, and it's addictive. It's kind of like I don't know, there's that kind of back and forth where it's like, okay, this is a positive for kids, and at the same time it's really not. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Even like with the video games, like the social piece, some people connect with peers that way. But then I think, again, with that maybe comes back to moderation and how they're choosing to engage with that particular thing.
Yeah. And when I was working with kids, I don't so much anymore, as you guys know, but when I was working with kids over COVID, especially when they were really on their social media or playing video games, like I had a lot of 9-year-olds all of a sudden, like with major anger issues. And so I worked with the parents on like weaning them off of it, and they couldn't believe the difference. Or sometimes for families, when I was doing family work, I would get them to have a like no electronic Wednesdays, and parents would say like, we were talking, we were playing ping pong, we were like, the kids, their mood was level. So that in itself, what it can do. And then sometimes when you do take the device away from kids, because it's an addiction, there you see like full on mental breaks with it, until they're, what am I thinking? Like weaned off it. What am I thinking?
Until they've like adjusted.
Rehab.
To
Detoxed. Yeah.
That's where I was going to chime in with 2 young kids at home. I really kind of put like a time frame on it.
Yeah.
and specific times of the day to use it, not to use it, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And limit what they're watching when they're watching it, for sure.
Yeah.
Is a big impact.
I think it's difficult too because we all grew up with like technology, like just kind of beginning social media, whereas kids now, that's all they know.
Yeah.
So when they're told, okay, we're taking your phone and you can't have access, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I would agree. Like, I think, I don't know about anybody else that sees kids, but I would agree with that. I'm seeing a lot of kids that are having some pretty intense, like, anger reactions when it comes to the tech. And so I feel like a lot of conversations with parents are about trying to manage that exposure to tech. And like, it's pretty commonly like when parents are like, well, they're exploding when I tell them to turn off their devices. And so there's a lot of that. I see a lot of that happening.
For sure. I mean, I work mainly with adults, and telling some adults to, you know, obviously we don't tell them what to do, but, you know, just suggesting, because what I often say is, what outcome are you seeking? Blah, 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 whatever it is. So is being on your phone for 3 hours a day helping you to achieve that outcome, right? And even like, it's almost like this panic, like, what? You know, and one of my clients once said, don't even tell me not to be on my phone. And I said, first of all, I'll never tell you what to do. Second of all, the fact that you just said that to me makes me analyze you a little bit. So it sounds like everyone's kind of in agreeing that social media seems to be the thing that's really shaping mental health, like what we see.
Yeah, I think it kind of takes away like coping skills as well. Like you get kind of used to just scrolling and being mindless.
Yeah.
And so when you are feeling an intense emotion, you're kind of like, okay, my first reaction is to scroll or to watch a video instead of actually like focusing on what's bothering you. We kind of just push it away, and it makes it so easy to do that.
Yeah, and then the hard part comes in because I know sometimes like there's apps on phones that I want clients to use, right? So it's kind of that fine line between, you know, and them being on it. And then, you know, one of the podcasts that Lily and I did a Q&A, she talked about mindful scrolling, right? Like what, as opposed to digital or versus digital detox. And so I think that there is, you know, if you give yourself a time limit, like we were talking about, like mindful scrolling, there's times, you know, I want people to mindfully look at our videos, right? And not like to boost it. Like that's why we're doing them. They're educational, they're informative, even the short little ones, right? I want people to mindfully like to, you know, save us or whatever and say, oh yeah, I needed this, and mindfully look for it. So such a fine line with social media today.
I also encourage clients, like when we're talking about social media, like just to even think about like who they follow and how they feel about the content that they are seeing. Like if it is stuff that's like educational, or like some people follow, like, you know, like book talk, I think is a big thing, or, you know, crafting or whatever it is that people are interested in. And so I think just taking note of like who you're following and what you're being exposed to, like just even thinking about that too, which I don't think a lot of people actually think about, but just something to keep in mind that I often share with clients too.
Yeah. And I mean, Kylie, you're the first point of contact that we have. What do you see as kind of like, maybe not shaping the mental health, but like what do you see coming in mostly, like relationship stuff or kids stuff? Like do you see trends?
I see trends definitely in certain times of the year.
Yep.
Depending on the month, the season, holidays, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Definitely summer. The kids definitely take a break during the summer, tend to come back September. Christmas is very heavy, I think, for lots of adults. Couples is kind of hard to say. I think that's very like sporadic. Kind of all year. Yeah, I don't.
Nothing in particular.
But nothing, no.
Yeah. Trend, like themes and stuff. Like I always kind of, people don't know I'm doing it. Like you guys probably don't know I'm doing it. But like I look at different times of the year as themes.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like, well, you do know, because sometimes I'll say like July was really slow, but August was really, so then I try to figure out Okay, then the next year, July's really busy in August. So I'm always trying to figure out like what the trends, what's going on in the world, what's happening.
Yeah,
And I know
Christmas.
that Christmas, yeah, September is always, we get like a lot of young people in September,
Yeah.
excuse me, and June. A lot of times in June it's teenagers because they haven't been doing the schoolwork, and also it's like, I'm graduating, or you know, it's almost the end.
Exams,
but and I also see sometimes like with couples too, it's like, well, like for a couple of weeks. So that's something that I'm trying to follow too.
Yeah.
Like in September we had a number
Get
of
a
couples.
few. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what. If we had to pick one factor, like whether it was social media or relationships or work culture, world events, what do you think is weighing the heaviest on people today?
I feel like that's a loaded
That
question.
is a loaded question. I feel like they all like play into each other.
Yeah.
Like I want to say like social media, but then it does play into some of the other things like relationships. Like when we look at social media and we see these, you know, romanticized relationships, people have these expectations that feeds into that, or like Hollywood movies and stuff. And then, so I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one, but I feel like there's definitely maybe a mix of things.
Yeah. I mean, you guys see kids, right? And you see couples. So there's some relationship stuff there, but absolutely the social media comparisons, people see a snippet in time, and that's what, and relationships have ended because of that kind of thing, right? So I see mostly adults, and currently it's world events that are really impacting adults, and just just culminating, right? Like it's all just all over the world, like all world events. And something I hear from adults all the time, like I probably hear at least once a day, is like, when's this going to end? Like, I feel helpless. Like, what can I do, right, to change?
Yeah, I think a trend I see with kids and with adults is like whenever there are these world issues, it's pretty much a guarantee it's going to come up in session, whether it's like however it's impacting them. They could be, coming for something totally different, but it has a significant impact on whatever their symptoms are. So then that's kind of what the session turns into, is managing some of that, and whatever that goal is might be kind of just on pause until they get through whatever's currently happening.
And I think with like social media and world issues, again, tying in is like, if there's a world issue going on, you see it in social media, but then you see like the after effects too. Like it keeps popping up and it's continuing on. And so like they might kind of forget about it, move on from it, and then you see another video. So it's a lot of the follow up too.
Absolutely. And everybody coming on social media, like pulling out different parts. That didn't really happen. That happened. That didn't, all of these things that are going on. And, as a therapist, for myself, when they say like what can I do? I'm stumped, right? Because, and I hate saying there's nothing you can do, because I think collectively we should be doing something, but it's really hard as a therapist because you want to comfort them. You don't want to scare them, but we're also human and we're seeing the same things, right? And so I find it difficult I don't want to say, like I said, there's nothing you can do, but I also don't want them to feel helpless, right? So I don't know. Do you guys see that, feel that?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys say that I can learn from?
I mean, like I've had client, in some of those like bigger world issues, like sometimes I'll like shift their focus a little bit to like what they can do, just even, like I remember I had a client one time that was very concerned about like just the health of the earth and environment and everything, and just questioning whether what they're doing is making an impact. And so again, just kind of focusing on, we can't obviously control what everybody else is doing, but are you feeling like you're doing your part, kind of, and like focusing on that?
Positive note.
Like I talk about what you can control, what you can't control in all the time, but in this sense too, like what can you control? What's one thing you can do?
kind of tying it into like their values too, like living in line with their values and kind of doing what makes them feel good in line with what you can control. But that's like another piece is going like, okay, how does that fit your value system and kind of make sure that you're living a life that you want to live, again in that theme of control.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes people say that we're overthinking mental health. We're overthinking it. Or, you know, are we not talking about it enough? What do you guys think?
That's a good question.
Stump them.
Yes.
I think a lot of things that improve mental health seem simple. So I think that's maybe where the overthinking comes from, because it's like, okay, mindfulness, let's feel our feelings, let's talk it out, let's do all of these strategies that like clients are like, oh, like that's all you want me to do? And so I think from that point of view, but I think because they are so, like there's complexities to mental health that make those things so individualized that it doesn't maybe work for everybody. So that part is the more complex side of things. So it's like figuring out what works for you individually based on your past, your experiences, your upbringing, who you are as a person, which is the complex part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, like jumping off that, I forget how you phrased it, but instead of, I don't think it's talked about enough or put into perspective enough for our own individual selves, like learning yourself and what your body's telling you and what you need versus like some of those maybe more like generic or like, you know, things we see on social media, for example, and applying that, but that may or may not work for you in that exact context or in that way.
Yeah.
So I think not talked about enough or flipped enough to be like adequate or appropriate for you as an individual.
I would also say, like, I don't know that it's not talked about enough, but maybe not talked about in the right way. I feel like I have a lot of clients, and especially recently actually, asking me, do other people think like this? Or do other people experience this? Or do other people have these same kind of challenges? And so I think that piece, right? Like that we hear a lot about things, but we don't hear maybe like those personal stories or experiences. So then it also feels very isolating in a way. So.
For sure. If I talk about what social anxiety is or anxiety, can't even count the number of clients over the years that have said that. Doesn't everybody think this way? Right? And one client, after she said that during session, and then she went home and she asked her wife, like, when I leave and like they live in a city and they're like, she's like, when I leave and like 20 minutes later, you hear signs like, do you start to get really nervous and anxious that it's me? And her wife's like, no. She goes, really? I thought everybody did that. Right? And yeah, I mean, there's that for sure. And I think that it's so generalized, right? It's so generalized. So are we overthinking it? I think there is some of that where I see now, especially with younger people, that it must be, right? It must be anxiety. It must be, or borderline personality disorder is a big one now that everyone's like, oh, she has borderline. Okay, first of all, you can't diagnose that by looking at them. Or narcissism is another big one. But I think that we're overthinking some of it, where the minute somebody starts to feel anxious or nervous, all of a sudden they go into a panic attack because it's something really bad. So that's overthinking it, that every person on this planet has anxiety. Like they feel anxious from time to time. It's a human, response. But I think there's that. But I also think that we're not talking about it enough in some, I talk a lot about toxic positivity. And I have had comments where people were like, saying things that, well, we do talk about things too much. We do. That's the stigma we're talking about. So do you think sometimes like mental health, for lack of a better way of saying it, mental health sometimes is like trendy? Do you see that?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. I think that ties into like narcissism and the, like, again, what we're seeing. And then it's like, okay, well, I maybe experience this symptom and this symptom, so I must, or I think too, like, it is great that we're talking about mental health more and people talk about going to therapy, but I see that with youth too, that sometimes, well, my friends go, so I'd like to go, which isn't a bad thing, but they don't always think about, like, what's my goal here, or, you know, the motivation for coming. And so I would say that it is and can be trendy.
Even adults, I have some clients that are like, yeah, my friend said to come, and we start to try to figure out what a goal is, and they're like, I don't really know. Like, I just thought it would help me feel better. And that's kind of the goal we start out with, because they aren't sure what that really looks like until we kind of dive into it. But I agree.
Yeah, and one thing I hear a lot, especially with youth, well, I hear adults say, everybody has anxiety now, right? Everybody, and that is a trendy thing, especially in youth, and I see it, and obviously we understand anxiety, we understand mental illness, we're not like, this is what we do. But I do see people using mental health issues as a way to get out of things, as a way, you know, I hear a lot, well, I have anxiety, so I can't. We literally help people canning. So you can, right?
And I think too, like, a lot of comparison. So it's like, okay, I have anxiety too, or they'll, like, dismiss it just because your anxiety might look different from someone else's.
It's almost like, are they embarrassed? In an aspect.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
comparing, like, well, I have anxiety and I can do this, so you should be able to do that.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Not like in session, because I think you guys hear it too, probably every day. I know people are worse off than me, right? And so, or I know people have it worse. And then I hear the other side, like in my private life, that it's like, just suck it up. Like, I have anxiety and I do this and this and this. Okay. And I always say, yeah, but what built your resiliency that this person might not have? What, do you have trauma? This person does. Like, there's so many factors. So some people say it's very trendy, but others say that the stigma silences people. And I see that. I mean, even, you know, we were talking before we came on about comments that you receive on social media and stuff. And I've talked in other podcasts about how humbling being behind these cameras and stuff can be, like, even just doing the videos, because you open yourself up to people making comments, and this is your professional life. You know, this is your education, your knowledge, your experience. And then people come on and say these things that are totally off what you're actually talking about. And it makes, like, sometimes, I mean, I'm pretty confident in myself but I can see, because when I first see some of these comments, I'm like, do I even want to do this? Right? It lasts about 0.2 seconds and I'm like, Lily, let's do another video. But yeah, because I'm not going to let people like that silence. I want people to know about mental health. I want I want to end the stigma. So those comments are the reason I want to end the stigma. Right? So I'm not going to be silenced by it, but so many people will not talk about their mental health issues. They won't, like, they just keep it all in.
And it's kind of interesting, like, your professional opinion, like, not opinion, but experience and knowledge and coming on and talking about it is being dismissed by people that don't have the knowledge. So somebody that's just talking about their experience or something that they've learned, to be dismissed is really quite powerful in a way. Like,
absolutely.
It just shows, like, there's always going to be somebody that's going to, I don't know, like, put that down in a way, which does kind of create that stigma.
Build the stigma. Yeah. And I mean, the irony of it is, like, one comment that I received was literally doing what I was talking about. Right? Like, it was literally, I was trying to help people move through toxic positivity, and the comment I received was literally toxic positivity towards me. It's like, really? But awesome point, right? That's really powerful, that I'm trying to educate and they're actually dismissing what we know to be real and true. So if it was if I was somebody with a mental health issue on there talking and people were dismissing like that.
Yeah.
Right?
I think a lot of the dismissal comes from not wanting to try.
Yep.
Fear.
Yeah, the fear of the, like, if I saw that perspective or if I tried that, so it's easier for them to just be fearful of it and
Shut it down.
Yeah, and Gen Xers, like my generation, it's all I've said in podcasts, like I need to practice what I preach sometimes, right? Because in my generation, it's a badge of honor to be stressed out and still pushing yourself. And some of comments that we received, or some comments that people with anxiety or any other mental health issue received, it's a Gen Xer perspective. And that's why I have so many Gen X clients right now, right? Because we were always told to suck it up, don't be so sensitive, all of those things. And so then we are the ones that say, oh, I had to do this and this and this, and I got through it. But to what you were saying, right? Okay, and now you're in my office because you can't function, because we always do that. So how do you think the way we talk about mental health, like we talk about it a lot, obviously, and we're doing all of these, do you think that not just how we talk about mental health, but the way people talk about mental health, do you see any helping in it? Like, do you see a lot of the talk helping? Because we often talk about the stigma, but do you see it helping?
I think I see it being normalized a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I'd say helping, but I think just normalizing, like, or validating a little bit that everyone's experiencing it in some way.
Yeah, but I also feel like it goes, like, I think some people really jump on, like, like we're talking about it, it's more normalized, but now, like, I often hear people say, like, well, everyone's getting diagnosed with ADHD and everyone's getting diagnosed with autism. And, like, so it's almost like they think because it's being talked about, because it's normalized, that then they think, okay, well, now just everybody. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Which goes back to the lack of education, and because you don't get diagnosed because you come in and say, you know, I have a scatterbrain and I can't focus. Oh, okay, you have ADHD. You have to go through testing and assessments and interviews, and autism is even more, you know, so. But yes, absolutely, everybody's saying that. I think it's because it is talked about more. Like when I was growing up, I didn't know anybody with ADHD, or no, I knew a lot of people with ADHD. I didn't know anybody with a diagnosis. I didn't know anybody with a diagnosis of autism. You know, kids that had special needs and stuff were in separate schools when I was growing up, and so we didn't see any of that stuff. So it doesn't mean that things weren't being diagnosed, because the kids that were in the separate school probably had autism and stuff, but it wasn't talked about. So I don't think that it's that talking about it is making everybody be diagnosed. I think that it's allowing, like, integration and everything, and talking about it. You know, like I said, kids probably had autism and had all those diagnoses, but they weren't in the traditional school system. So
definitely makes it hard, like going off of your point of like people saying like everybody's being diagnosed. I literally had a client the other week that there was very, I wouldn't say obvious, but there were symptoms that she was experiencing that were in line with ADHD. And I was like, have you ever thought about that? That might help understand and this kind of stigma of calling herself lazy and all of these things. And she was like, no, like everybody's diagnosed with it. Even if I were, I wouldn't believe that I had it. So it makes our job, like where we're trying to come in with compassion and understanding and kind of that support that they might need. They're kind of turning around like, no, I'm just lazy. And that label really does stick.
Absolutely. And also the stereotypes of different diagnoses, right? Stereotypes of ADHD. Everybody, I mean, I've done podcasts on female presentation and from some of those podcasts, I've had a number of women come to see me and want assessments and that kind of thing. But so the stereotypes and stuff like that, we think, I don't want people to think that I'm bouncing off the walls and I'm doing, well, first of all, if you're a female, that's not usually how it presents. And if you're like an adult male, that's not how it presents either. You're no longer bouncing off the walls and climbing on things, right? Yeah, it's more externalized behavior, but it's more the impulsivity or like the driven by the motor kind of thing, right? It's not the, So, Miss Kyla, you're around us all the time, whether you like it or not. And you didn't originally come from a mental health background, right? You've been with me now for 6 years. So you obviously hear us talking about mental health. You get the intake forms first and go through them. You see our notes and that kind of thing. And I know that, and we talked about this already today, but I was like so uber impressed that you came to me, a client had called and you came to me and you said, it sounds like secondary trauma. And I was like, what? Well, no.
Well, you taught me that. So,
but that's what I mean, right? Like you listen to it and not going to lie, I did say, oh, did you watch my video on secondary trauma? And Kyla's like, no. So then the next thing is, we're going to discuss that. But that's so cool, right? And even more cool that you didn't see it from the video that I did on secondary trauma, right? That so has your perception of mental health changed over the like when you first came in now?
definitely. Yes. You definitely notice it more. You're definitely more aware, like what you ask, when you ask. One question that comes to mind that literally everyone does it, I do it all day long, is, hey, how are you? And your answer automatically is, I'm good. But like, really, are you good? Yeah, but no, I've definitely noticed a huge change. Yeah.
Like part of the change, is it like for the better, that there's more of an understanding what people might be going through?
Yes.
Why they behave the way they do?
Yeah.
And stuff?
Yeah. Definitely more aware. Because before I just didn't really notice it with people. I wasn't in that field. I was a beauty queen. I did cosmetics. Everyone came to me because they were happy and they wanted to look beautiful. And just a totally, totally different field.
You see people differently when you understand mental health a little bit, right?
And see the progress.
Yeah.
From appointment to appointment. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, we've talked
you
about
guys are great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's to your comment about how are you, like how you just out in general, out in public, but even in the office, I always say to when they first come in, I'm like, I'm asking it like, how are you doing from a therapist? Not every single time. Almost every single time. How are you doing? I'm good. And you? I'm like, and some of them, when I ask you how you're doing, it's how you're doing, right? It's not, hey, how you doing? What's up? And they always giggle because it's like, and then some will go, good. I'm like, not a lot of enthusiasm there, right? And then that's what and they always laugh, and that's what we start with. But
they always respond with good.
Which is the go-to. And then they get into like, okay, I've had a horrible
but this is actually
I always ask twice. So like I'll come greet them, be like, oh hey, how's it going? Just like very casually. And then when we sit down, I'll ask them again. And then that's when it comes out. It's like that's
response.
The second time you ask it. And it's kind of funny because some of my clients have picked up on it that I asked twice. I'm like, yeah, that's for a reason. Because I know the first time I ask you, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm good. It's great. Like, how are you? And I'm like, well, this isn't about me. And then I ask them again. And then that's when they're like, yeah, I'm having a really hard day or whatever it might be. And it's like,
And sometimes they come in and, how you doing? Good. And then they sit down and then they're like, my father died yesterday or you are not doing well. Like, this is not good, right? I mean, they might be. I'm not saying, I don't say that to them, but like, because we are conditioned to say, I'm good, and you? Right? And not even think twice about it.
Body language, too, I feel like I really picked up on.
Look at you go, girl.
I've never actually thought of that before, but I'm super impressed that even you, not like that I doubt you, but like that you see that progress in clients, like when they come in.
Oh, for sure.
For like session to session, like just even that you're picking up on those things in them too, which is really cool.
Kyla, do you notice a difference from when they arrive and then when they leave a session? Like when they're waiting and then versus when they're walking out?
Sometimes. Depends on if I could tell they come in upset, distressed, that sort of thing. And then when they come out and I could tell that they were crying, that I feel like is kind of the same. But kids, I feel like kids are very neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's always the same. It's more so the adults that kind of change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've
Coming
talked
in and
about
out.
some clients that you were like, I can't believe the difference in her
There's
over.
one
Yeah. One in particular,
of
yeah.
yours.
Yeah. That like you, and
It's
you notice like
mind-blowing.
even like skin color, like
Yeah.
just like brighter and smiling and
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and some clients prefer to pay beforehand before they come in because they
Don't
know
wanna
they're
talk to
going
me after.
yeah. But the thing too, and you know, I mean, you're great at your job and what you do. And one thing that really impresses me and clients have commented to me on is how when they walk in, you always say hello and use their name, right? Like you always do that. And I've had some clients say, you know, I come in kind of feeling like, ugh. And then they're like, then I see Kyla's face and she's like, hello, so-and-so, how are you today? Or whatever. And they're like, it's just like, oh, it's like sunshine. And I'm always like, well, you don't work with her all the time. Just kidding. We have a lot of laughs. Yeah, but that's, you know, that is so huge. And that is like one of the best qualities that you bring, right? You bring a lot of good qualities to the job, but that's, people come in for a reason, and if they can come in and you're like smiling and the fact that you say their name makes such a huge difference because they're, I mean, back to like the whole mental health thing, right? And being individualized, they're an individual then.
It's more personal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
No,
Happy to help.
Thank you. All right. Anything else anyone have to say on that? Just what we see. No. I know that for me, change. I mean, every human on the planet change is hard, right? Even good change. Sometimes we need to welcome change a little bit, and I mean, just in our practice, look at the changes that we've had. I mean, this month, January 11th. I'll be open for 9 years.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Right? And you know, Kylie, you've been with me for 6.5 and you're almost 6.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think you're 5.
4.
This is January?
Yeah, January 2022 is when I started.
So 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's so, and we were in the little office that we had, and I mean, even the change that I made from working in education to leaving a pension and benefits and starting out on my own, that was terrifying. And it's very easy to stay stagnant because it's familiar, and you know, and then I was like, I just want to have this little office where I can just do my own schedule, just me.
I was just there when the Almont Fair happened, and I was walking by with my sister, and she goes, "Wasn't that where Christine's office was?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I had a moment of thinking, like, "Yeah, that's where she started." And then, like, now we're
now we're in our third place. And when I moved to the second place, people said, "Well, what if you get busier and you have to hire more therapists?" I'm like, "No, we're done. We're done." And now I moved again, and I think 7 or 8 therapists now, and students, and social media. And anyway, this is all going off topic, but like change, it was really scary, but look what can come from change was my point and all this, right? But it's really hard. Like the psychology of it, the psychology of change is really hard. I mean, the neuroscience of it obviously is our brains are designed to protect us, and so change is moving outside the familiars, right? So it being January and all, we talk about resolutions, which I do not like resolutions, and because I think that resolutions are, we have these grandiose things that we're going to change. We're going to do like full bore. It's not just like steps. It's like, I'm going to do this and this and this. And then it lasts a day or a week or 2 weeks. I don't think I know anybody that's actually gone past January. But if they have, great job. So I don't want to talk about resolutions so much, but I want to look at the human behavior of change, right? And like the motivation. Is it motivation or is it discipline? Or is it both? I'm somebody who's very big on both.
I'm
I
very
feel like
big
it's like
on it.
neither. I feel like it's like go at your own pace and do what you can when you can do it. I don't
Sorry.
know if that's
Like for
discipline.
change?
Yeah.
For change?
Yeah.
I think I would say more discipline. I think motivation does play a role, but I think where people maybe get stuck is that they're like, oh, I'm just not motivated. But I think people are waiting for this, like, I don't know if it's a surge of energy to like, and that's what they call motivation. But I think there are things that we need to be, like, we need to have that discipline to push ourselves to do it, even if maybe we're not feeling it. Because if we wait for that motivation to come, it might
Never come.
right? So yeah, I lean a little bit more towards like the discipline, but obviously I think motivation is like an aspect of it. So yeah.
I would say I like where I do agree with it, what you're saying, where like maybe the discipline comes first, but going off of Kyla's point of like starting out with your own pace, because that builds the motivation. That's the first step, is like going with what is manageable, just opening your laptop or sitting down at your desk or like creating that environment so that motivation does come. So I think I agree that maybe it's discipline first and then the motivation kind of
Well, I'm even
in.
thinking of like a client that I had that was having trouble just getting out of bed in the mornings, and I was like, just sit at the edge of your bed, just like get up and sit at the edge, like that's it. And I remember like they had come back the next time and was like, that was like the biggest game changer. Like just getting up and sitting on the edge of my bed was it, like, and that gave them enough like momentum to then just
Motivation.
continue.
It's
So it was like
overwhelming.
that, like pushing themselves to like, okay, I'm just gonna sit at the edge of my bed, and then once they did that, then it was just like,
Because I was going to say, like, to me, motivation, like, what's your goal? Right? Like, I think a lot of people, when we think about change, it's like, I want something to be different, but like what? So defining that, I think, to me, could be motivation. Right? So it's like when you define, like, okay, getting up is going to be sitting on the edge of your bed. It's like, okay, I know exactly what that is. And then when I do it, that can then kind of facilitate. Because I think sometimes, we don't always have the goal, or the goal is really, really big. Right?
100%.
That's what I was just going to say.
Break it down.
Yeah, like the whole resolution thing.
Yeah.
It's usually a big, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to work out every single day. I'm going to eat healthy every single day. You can only stay motivated for that for so long.
Well, and the other thing I always do with clients too is like, if they do have a goal, it's like, what can we start with? And making those like small changes and not changing too much, right? Like even if like I'm working with somebody on like sleep hygiene, it's like, okay, what out of all of these things, because there's so many aspects of it, what's one thing that you can start with? Just even changing your routine at night, like what's one thing you can add or whatever. Because if we throw too much in, then we're also kind of like, well, what's working, what's not, and then we just are like, this is too much. So it's like doing those small things too that help. Then I think when they start to see those changes, that increases that motivation as well, because they're like, okay, cool, now I'm motivated to like continue on with this rather than feeling defeated and then just
And I think you can be more disciplined with your smaller bite-sized pieces, right? Versus the big.
Yeah, I always get clients to break down any goal. Don't care what the goal is. I get them to break it down. Even when they have a list of things to do, right? It might not be about change, but even because as soon as your brain feels overwhelmed, it starts scrolling or it starts, right? It starts doing anything that isn't that, because there is no motivation if you're overwhelmed, because burnout and overwhelm make you shut down. Right. So I get them, like, if they have a list of stuff to do, things to do, I always tell them, you look at that list and your brain's like, not today, Satan, not today. Right. But if you take your week and you take one or two things, depending how long the list is, and put one or two on Monday, one or two on Tuesday, then on Monday you look at it and you're like, oh, I only have 2 things to do. And at the end of the week, you get it done. You know, because some people say, yeah, but it's going to take me the whole week. Yeah, but you're not doing any of them because of the overwhelm. So I think that some of the resistance to change that the brain does is the overwhelm. It's, you know, so it's about have your long-term goal, have your SMART goal too, but then break it down steps. It's going to change that resistance.
Yeah, because I think so many people too are looking at what's the end, and like they look at, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, but that even in itself is like, how am I going to get there? And they just get overwhelmed, and then they just like take a step back. So I'm like, okay, well, like what's going to be our first step? Don't think about the end. Like we know what your end goal is, but where, like, let's just get started. Like, you know.
I've been working with a lot of clients on setting goals like that, and I always say, like, if you can write it down or like block it in your schedule, if you know, okay, I only have like half an hour to do this, it can make it feel less overwhelming too. And like you said, breaking it down over a week can make it much more manageable.
Yeah, or longer than a week, depending on what it is, right? But it's
like a weekly schedule or monthly, whatever it looks like.
Your, like I said earlier, your brain is designed to protect us. So if it's a big change, any change, because the brain likes what's familiar, and if it's not familiar, it's going to be like a toddler temper tantrum. It's like, no, you're not pushing me to do this. Even if it's something that you have to do, it doesn't like what's unfamiliar.
Also, the other big thing that I come across too is people, when they're thinking about change, it's the what if it doesn't go well? What if it doesn't work out? So it's even trying to reframe that too of like, well, what if it works out? And what if it's what if, and like that this change could be, you know, everything.
You watched my what if video.
I did. I did. Yeah.
Hear that, Kyla?
Yes. I think I watched that one too, actually.
Yeah, that's what I say to clients. You know, whenever they say, "What if that change doesn't work out?" I'll say, "What if it does?" But then I say, "What if it doesn't? What skills do you have? What tools do you have? What, like, did you do change before and you were scared and it worked out? What did that look like?" And we're breaking that down too, then, right?
And if it doesn't work out or it doesn't end up how we want it to be, like, what did we learn from that? Right? What can we take away from that and like apply that kind of in future?
Or what can we do differently next time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. One more thing with change that I think, or one more thing that impacts change is like the habit loops. Right? We're so used to doing things a certain way. Well, human beings need routine and structure. Even those that say they don't, the brain needs routine and structure. So I think that we get in those habits and trying to break out of the habit and what the brain gets from that habit. I think, my perspective anyway, I think that also impacts the resistance to change.
Kind of takes our brain out of autopilot, which it hates. Right? We kind of get stuck in that autopilot and to consciously go into that first person world again.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. Do you guys have any clients that have been very resistant to change and then work through the steps you've done and like came out like,
I see that with boundaries.
I was gonna say, I think it takes a lot of their energy to like accept the steps. And then once we get through that and we actually start like that activation process, then they can really feel the difference. But it's like accepting the steps, accepting the change, accepting if it does or doesn't work. And I think another piece with it too is knowing like what tools they need to help them. So like maybe who the support system they have, the environment they're in, like some of those things too, that kind of help with that habit loop as well.
For sure. And spoiler alert, therapy is all about change. We're talking about changes that people want to make, but that's what therapy is.
Yeah.
Cognitive behavior therapy is literally changing the way you think, changing. And so, clients, and I always talk about my favorite part of doing this job is when clients have the light bulb moment or they do the CBT and then they come back and they're like one client that I had that I talked about in a video before, she had a phobia and it was based on trauma phobia. And then she couldn't wait to come to therapy to tell me that she was in the situation again. And she didn't even she had made a lot of progress, but her husband looked at her and said, "Do you see where you are right now? And you're not even panicking." She's like, "Oh yeah." Right. And there was a thing with hospitals for her. And after that session, she's like, I'm actually thinking about volunteering in a hospital.
Wow.
And I said to her, "Do you see the change that you've made? Do you see this progress over perfection?" Right? That's my big thing. And, and yeah, that's change. Everything we do in therapy is change.
I would say too, even just thinking about some of my kiddos too, that their parent will say, "Oh, they couldn't wait to tell you that they they did this or they tried this," or and they just get so excited about it. So it is, it's pretty cool to see them push themselves and see that they can do it, and then taking that and applying it to other things, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, I wanted to hear what everybody's perspective of change was until I said, "Everything you do every day is changing." Right? Therapy, literally, no matter, I mean, we do CBT, but any therapy, someone's changing. So this is something a little bit, Kylie, you can join in if you want. It's a therapist question, but you have perspective too. We've talked about, how mental health is talked about more throughout, through generations, right? And we've talked about the stigma and all of that. Present, what is your prediction for the future in mental health? In culture or treatment or stigma, technology, each one of you, I want to go around the table. That's why I said if you don't want to, but I think that you have some perspective. So yeah, what do you think is a prediction for the future in mental health based on what we know today?
I'll go first.
Oh, look at you go.
I think it's going to get worse.
Okay.
Just because I have young kids in school. My son's in grade 2, and his homework is already online, which is totally upsetting because I'm a paper and pen person, and I'm not a techie. So when that came home at the start of the year, I was like, "Oh no, what are we getting into in grade 2 for a 7-year-old?"
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I just think it's going to get worse.
Okay, I have 2 thoughts. I'm going to kind of add off that one because actually now that you say that, that's a really good point. I think we're going to continue to see a need for mental health for sure. And I think actually thinking about school, there's so many kids now that I'm hearing about that their exposure to things are starting at a much younger age, body image and kids and just a lot of these things that they're exposed to are happening a lot sooner. So that piece I think too. But the other thought I had, and this is a funny one because I don't remember who it was that mentioned it to me, whether it was you. I remember sitting in the old office and I was kind of having a mini panic because I remember somebody saying that they were trialing AI therapists.
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, what if that works and then they don't need us anymore? And then when I think I read the story that it was not a successful trial, and then I also thought of those other pieces of that human connection and that piece that we really, the clients that come and see us, I don't think they would choose AI over us. I hope not. But that was just another thing because I know AI is becoming really big. And so there is that concern too of are people then just going to kind of look to that versus coming to see us? So I don't want to think that would happen, but that was something that was on my mind that I remember there was a story about that a couple of years ago that I read that they were trialing it, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's free, that can be a factor for
Yes,
people
that's
too.
another one. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I agree it's going to be increasing for sure, but I think it will be short term help relief. I don't think it can really do long term.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, it might be good for quick answers, but I don't think AA will ever be able to provide what a therapist can.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's so true. I
like
think
just
it,
digging deeper and going back.
100%. And I feel like the relationships that we build with people, like it goes both ways, right? And I think when people come and they like, they trust in you and they like coming to see you as their therapist, right? Like, even some of Jade's clients that, have transitioned, like the relationship that that they built, and how much that connection meant to them, right? Like it's huge, like, so we really do build those relationships. And so, I don't think AI is gonna.
I think AI would be very surface level therapy.
Yeah. 100%.
So it might be a quick relief, but I don't think would be that impactful.
Yeah.
Well, therapeutic relationship is 90% of therapy, right? And during the pandemic, when the government did the online CBT, and some of my clients that I have now, they weren't my clients then, but they said they tried it and they were like, you're just getting information. It's not like an interaction, but also when you did go on and there was a therapist, it was never the same therapist. So you're not building a rapport, and they hated it, right? So AI, when I heard all of that, I was like, this is horrifying. Not just because we'd all be out of work, because people need, they don't just give us information and we spew it back, right? Or come up with, oh yes, this is why this is happening, and which we do, but we watch their body language. I can tell when somebody's like, if they're not telling me everything, and I'll prompt them, I'll see them fidgeting, I'll see AI can't do that. Well, yet. Right? But so I think technology is absolutely impacting. It's going to continue to impact mental health. Anybody else is not just on technology, but any like culture? Any predictions for the future, ladies?
Yeah, my hope is that it'll get better, but the social media side of things, there is that part that makes me a little bit weary. I think something needs to change there, how maybe we look at social media or how accessible it is. Kind of going back to our earlier conversation, how that can be impactful. So I think I'm an optimistic person, so I want to say, I do think it's going to get better. My hope is that it can, but I do think there needs to be some change in how, like, hearing that a 7-year-old is now required to be on their laptop, and that can definitely lead into other things, and there's something needs to change in terms of maybe how we allow our kids to access information and in a safe way. Like I'm not totally against social media or online, but I think something needs to change there where we are conscious of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there will continue to be a need for mental health support, and that will continue to grow. And I would also be curious, like, how mental health changes over the next little bit, if that makes sense, like in terms of some of these things. So like client presentation, the challenges that we see, the themes that might be there, how as the population ages, right? Like what, parents are impacting and, the young kids coming up and all of that. So I anticipate that there will be changes there. I also, to kind of flip it, a little bit of technology, but I do think one kind of positive is that there's a lot of like virtual clinics now, which I do think makes it a little bit more accessible. So, people don't have to necessarily, live even in the same vicinity as the therapist they're connecting with, because that rapport is really important. So I think that's a positive. The other thing that I would wonder about is like accessibility of therapy services in certain environments, i.e. schools, workplaces, that kind of thing. How that changes. I would love to see more accessibility in environments across the board, but yeah, I'd be curious what happens with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place with it, which is how my brain goes. Obviously, I hope mental health improves, and I hope as a society, in general. And yeah, technology has its issues, but also has its benefits. Suicide hotlines and stuff, they can text. They don't have to, there's more accessibility because of technology. And there are, like I said, positives to technology. There's also negatives. Youth coming up, in my perspective, because I've worked in this field with youth for 31 years. So I've seen so many changes, right? Like longer than almost all of you have been alive. Except for you.
Not me.
It just popped in my head as I'm like thinking around the table. I'm like, holy cow. But anyway, so I've seen so many changes, and I think that there's positive changes with youth in recognizing mental health issues and just the lack of stigma with it, with youth. Like I've had a parent say to me, that they didn't want to pick up their child at therapy and then go pick up their friend, even though it was like going into town, out of town, because they said to their child, well, we don't want to embarrass you. And the kid's like, all my friends know I'm in therapy. That's not embarrass me. Go pick him up first. Like it wasn't a big deal. That's great. But then I also see the other side of things where a lot of the kids growing up today in a bubble wrap generation, not necessarily parenting, but society. And, we always hear like participation awards. And sometimes when they're younger in hockey, if one team scores, they both get a point. Like, that was even going when my son was young, and he would come out and say, Mom, the score said 10-10, but we lost. Like they know, right? But that's not building the resiliency and coping skills that kids need. And so I see all of that. And then the other thing I see is an increase in a lack of tolerance in society. And everybody's opinion is the opinion, and you can't debate. And sometimes debating turns violent, as we've seen in the fall. And, but people get in fights on social media. They get in fights because someone has a different opinion. So I'm kind of do I want it to get better? Yes, because there's more awareness. There's more, with technology, there's more outlets for people. There's more access to help. But we also have to change our mindset as a society, as a society. That's my perspective on it all. Good or bad, it's my perspective. And people can argue with me if they want. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to do this, like this isn't the only time we're going to do this. As long as you all agree to join me again. And we'll get some of the others joining us too. So I wanted to thank you. I do have the best staff to come in on a Saturday and spend a day doing all of these things. I know that I am very blessed to have all you girls. Thank you all for doing this. And I love hearing all the different perspectives. All right.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, good conversation. Thanks.
It was good.
Thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed hearing the different perspectives and how we see, think, and feel about mental health. And as always, take care of you. That's it for today's episode of The Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety. Remember, the work doesn't end when the episode does. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of these conversations. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It helps us grow and reach more people who might need this too. And don't forget, take care of you.